Hello, everyone. My name is Chris, and welcome to Friends of Gaming by Winter Moon Games. Today, I'm really excited because I do a lot of board game related content on this channel, as you know, but I have my first, well, sort of first, video game developer and creator here today. I'm with Paul Cousins, the creative lead of Funder Games Studios, who's working on it's your first game, correct?
Officially, yes.
Okay, it's fair. Yeah. So I was really I discovered Paul. You're all the way in New Zealand, so we were able to connect. I discovered you on Facebook just by I'm in a couple video game groups, and you shared that you were a solo dev on this game called Dead Fury. So I'm always inspired by solo devs because it's a lot of work and it's a ton of dedication. And usually, if you meet a solo dev, they're in it for the long haul and they're in it for the right reasons. At least that's been my
Mm.
experience. So, why don't you just first tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from, where you grew up, what your interests are, that kind of thing, so we can get to know you a little
Yeah, of
bit.
course. It's it's a it's a it's a journey story. That's what's so cool about all of this for me, and getting to recite it to you guys is even cooler because it kind of just solidifies how long this journey has really been for me. Um, to be very clear, I've only been making games for 1 year. So officially, I've only been making games for 1 year. But coming up to my 40th birthday this year, I've been making games in the longer sense with everything that I've done in my life. From a young age, I grew up in a small town in New Zealand, which is just off the coast of Australia, if you know where that is. And New Zealand's a beautiful kind of wild, rugged kind of you know country. It's mountainous. It's got lots of lakes and rivers and streams and stuff like that. Mountains. A lot of people come here for extreme sports and hiking and those kind of things. New Zealand's well known for its kind of natural beauty, and I kind of grew up around a lot of that stuff when I was a kid, living next to the mountains, and I was really inspired by, I guess, nature and that stuff. So all throughout my life, this kind of admiration for, I guess, the beauty of nature has kind of proliferated all of the arts that I've taken on. And as I sort of grew up, I kind of got a little bit into um, computer. We can go into some of that stuff later, but computer programming and stuff when I was really young, back in the 80s, basically, and sort of grew up going through a whole swag of different things. And again, this is the story that we can kind of expand on later. But from a high level, I went through things like web design and lots of different music. Like I can play every instrument. DJ'd for about 10 years. Um, Started working on gaming projects about a year and a half ago, and really started picking up Unity as a tool to develop games. Spot on about a year ago now, and um, all of this history of different things that I was kind of interested in, like music and graphics and even web design and marketing and all these different things, all consolidated when I picked up Unity, and it all just kind of exploded um, into some of the successes I'm having with that game at the moment. So I guess that's it in a nutshell, kind of where I've been and what I've done, and obviously we can talk about any of that furthermore.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing, and that's fantastic. I love connecting with other developers from all over the world. One of my favorite things to do is go to conventions and meet people like you who are from all over the world. And the one true thing that connects us all, gaming, bringing us together over and over again. So that's great. Tell us about Dead Fury. What I saw looked amazing, and I was actually really impressed to find that you were doing this alone.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about that. Like, how long you been working on the game, and maybe tell us what you can about the game, what
Yeah.
people can get excited about.
Well, from a high level, sort of elevator pitch level, Dead Fury is, I mean, first and foremost, it's a zombie third person zombie shooter, right? So there's nothing that extreme about that part of it, but it does have its own uniqueness. And some people have sort of commented that, oh, why would you make a zombie game? There's too many zombie games, but people love zombie games. People can't get enough of zombie games, and the proof is in the pudding with the kind of interest and feedback that this game model has had, with publishers getting in potentially behind me. It's had 1,000 downloads of the demo on on Game Jolt, and so much support from the indie community with this, and so it really proves that there's a market for it first and foremost, um, but and the genre is a cool one, but it does step outside of just zombie and killing and stuff. It's actually really set inside New Zealand, obviously where I'm from here. I'm inspired, and I've taken all that inspiration and tried to pour that as creative um, mm, juices into the game. So when you're playing the game, you should feel like you're actually in the mountains of New Zealand, that you're running through the bush, and the fact that zombies are there, just adding another fun element to it. Um, yeah, so in that sense, that's kind of the game in a nutshell. The protagonist, Jackson, that's the name of the protagonist. He's uh, the world is hit by a um, interstellar radiation, like a solar flare, basically, and the radiation is causing the zombies to kind of come out. It's not a instant turn or by any means, so it takes quite a few weeks for people to develop the symptoms of the zombiedom, and so the game kind of progresses from everything being nice and normal and slowly just disintegrates into dystopia across the game, and the protagonist is out there trying to find his wife who's separated from her, and she holds the cure in a local plant that may be able to help him and obviously save their lives. So yeah, that's kind of the game in a nutshell there.
It sounds really cool, and I love zombie games. I do think there was a point at which the industry was kind of saturated with them, but they went away for a while and they're starting to come back a little bit more. So I think that there's with next gen consoles and people that are unique, everybody's unique, right? Telling their own version of a zombie story. There's no reason why it can't be different every time. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see
yeah.
what you come up with. What's it been like though? Like, what made you work alone versus instead of with a team? Was that something that you decided you were going
Yeah.
to do, or is that just kind of how it played
Yeah,
out?
no, actually, this was one of the most interesting things, and if it can help anyone else, good, because I spent my whole life, like I said, trying these different things, trying different projects. I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've always tried to form a team with someone, and get a partner or someone to do the stuff with. Because I guess when you're an artist, it's really lonely. But this project, I thought, you know what, you need to just trust yourself. You need to believe in yourself and not try to get someone else to support you, and because that's all just self-doubt. You have to just commit to this and make it. And this is the first time in my life that I actually took on a project and thought, you know what, bugger the funding, bugger the support, bugger anyone else getting involved in this. I'm just going to take this on myself. I'm going to do this and I'm going to see it through to completion. Then the success hit. And so I can't say enough how different the success has been from this to the other times that I tried to bring in support and collaborations and things like that.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I think the hardest thing, I do board game development. I've dabbled in video game development, and it's always, I've done it by myself. Working with people, especially sometimes working with friends, can be a challenge. And we all start kind of working with our friends because that's who we
Yeah,
know.
that's right.
But yeah, so I'm encouraged by that, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you on this show is because I think a lot of people that I run into they're in the indie scene, and so they don't have big budgets, they don't have big teams. A lot of people making games are like you, and so that's really awesome. So are you self-taught with all of this
Yep.
stuff? Unity, art.
Yep.
Okay, I
Absolutely.
was gonna actually just ask, like, let's talk about Unity.
Yep.
Like, how long did it take you, soup to nuts, to learn
Mm.
Unity?
Unity was incredible. Um, about a, about a year and a half, sorry, about 2 years ago, I sort of set off to become a YouTube creator, and I was doing a lot of sort of machinima stuff. So I was digging around inside of Assetto Corsa, doing kind of machinima type of videos, and I really had a love for that, trying to create a real world using a game, and I created a video at the time around the Quixel Mega Scans, um, kind of, and how that was available for Unreal, sorry. And I was really inspired by Quixel and Unreal and how this stuff was basically coming together, like getting a tree and just plonking it in the world. And I was like, man. And I remember saying in the video, like, look, guys, I'm really inspired by this, and if I can figure out how to make games, I'll make sure I come back and teach you all, because it'd be just so awesome if I could do that. But I still didn't believe I could actually create a game. I didn't bother even trying because I didn't think I could. Um, but a project I was working on around that time, sort of about a year and a half ago, I started trying to create a virtual reality nightclub, and that was going to be built as a mod effectively for VR chat, if you know VR chat, as a kind of a world that you could go into. So I wasn't going to build a game. I was just going to get someone to build a nightclub for me and then kind of run a project inside it. Anyway, the no one would really support it, and I got kind of frustrated. So I thought, oh, look, maybe I'm just going to download Unity and see if I can make one of these worlds myself. And within a week, I've made this world, and I was just like, wow, that was fast. I went from not knowing how to make a game to suddenly I'd created something really quite sensational in a week. So I put the brakes on and just said, no, that's it. I'm going to make a game, and I started making Dead Fury from that, and the rest is history, kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of how long did it
So
take me
the
to pick up Unity, it was
Mhm.
really rapid.
So with Unity, are you talking? I mean, I want to make sure I understand you correctly because I'm not sure I know myself. But did you drag and drop assets into the scenes, or were you creating things from scratch, or both?
Oh,
Or
both. Yep, both. So not
okay,
so much scripting. Like a lot of what I'll be working with is assets. Definitely hate the term asset flipping, because when you put 2,000 hours into a project, hard to call that an asset flip. Um, and but essentially working with models. So pulling together all these different various assets and trying to create things. Um, in Unity, if you're aware, you can model inside Unity using things like cubes and spheres and things like that, layering textures on, and that's something I'm really passionate about. Um, so all the worlds, for example, are like creating a level, actually going in and building the terrain up, and you may dump some tree models or some grass kind of models in there, um, but effectively you're creating it from scratch, other than the actual models themselves. And same with the buildings and things like that are quite often created from scratch using cubes inside Unity and things like that. Yeah.
I guess I'll speak for myself. I've tried making video games in the past, and it's really intimidating. Like I've tried learning code. I've tried. I mean, Unity is actually really great. I agree. I've used it myself, and it's very user friendly. But if you don't know code, it's one of those things that you can just get easily turned off by. And I'm encouraged, definitely listening to you saying, "Hey, it can be done."
Can absolutely.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I hope that people watching and listening can, hopefully get this, use this as a stepping stone to. Are your other videos out there that talk about this kind of content creation that people can find?
Uh,
The ones you
yeah,
did?
yeah, absolutely. I can so
Okay.
my YouTube channel, you can probably just link that up if you like later. Just
Yeah, definitely.
Days of
Yeah,
Thunder.
we'll put it in the description. Yeah,
Yeah, and
awesome.
there's all the history on there. I mean, you can see. I'll give you the links to those specific videos, because it's quite cool looking back at that now and just thinking, wow, I didn't think I could make games then, and then a year later, here I am, and I've got a publisher behind me, and it's incredible.
And I'm assuming you can't say who that is yet,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Okay,
but
yeah,
I've,
that's
but I've
fine.
got the
We got a lot of
I've got the
secrets.
contract in today, so this is very timely, because
Good.
this call today, because the contract's literally sitting in my
Wow,
inbox right now.
congratulations.
Yep, it's awesome.
Congratulations. And it's I guess when you get a publisher knocking on your door, that means you've done something right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah. Well,
good.
you've at least marketed
Yeah.
it right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about maybe the personal journey. So as a solo developer, what has been some of the highs and lows? Like, what's something that is the most challenging? I mean, I think that's probably goes without saying, but maybe as a personal, journey, like I said, and maybe what are some of the things that you find rewarding about being a solo developer?
And well, I'm a competitive person, so perhaps I'm a little bit swung towards the end of, look, if people say I can't do it, I'm going to find a way to do it. Um, but I'm also probably a creative problem solver. You know, I sort of think outside the box. So a lot of people are thinking like, oh, I can't game because I can't code. I can't make games because I can't code kind of thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's right, and that's very true in a sense. And to be fair, I'm not a coder, but I did grow up with some very fundamental stuff back in the 80s. I mean, my first computer was an Amstrad C64, and you had to run BASIC and sort of load up C colon backslash run .exe sort of stuff, you know. So so I do have a fundamental understanding of programming and code and stuff, but that's not what's making Dev Fury come together by any means, and that's not where any of the success or roadblocks I'm finding is coming from. The biggest roadblock I've found in working as a solo dev is really just believing in yourself, believing that you can do it and pushing through until you do. The one thing that has provided more success than anything else inside this particular project has been every time I've gone to give up, I've just pushed a little bit further and boom, there's success. So every single time, every single day that I've got up and tried to work on this, yeah, success has been on the other side of failure.
The roadblock has become the reward in some
Absolutely.
ways.
Well, it's just the hurdle
Yeah.
standing in the way of your success. So, you know, for a developer, like you're saying there before, you're kind of potentially intimidated by trying, and you might try and you might fail, but if you just try again, just one more time, boom, you succeed, and then you're on to
Yep.
the next challenge. And that's been the most rewarding part about game development for me, has been how many times I've hit that wall, pushed a little bit further, and succeeded in that particular task. It's been really quite incredible.
Yeah. And I know even with my own designs, I've been working on a board game now that it was my first board game, and it's taken me a little over 5 years. I'm just finally ready to have it published. It is, there are days where I want to burn that thing to the ground. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. And she's my biggest fan. She's always telling me that, you can't do that. But there are days, and I'm sure I mean, I don't know, have you ever
Oh,
felt that way?
absolutely, especially at the moment. So we're in lockdown here in New Zealand, as most other countries probably are as well. And the hardest thing, you know, I mean, I've still got a day job at the moment, um, and that day job sees me sitting at my home office, um, you know, working flat out all day. And normally I could come home and I could work for hours at night on my game. I just love working on that stuff, or in the weekends or whatever. But by the end of the day, at the moment, it's really tough because I've got to just push on, and it's 20-hour day kind of thing. So that's tough. That's tough. I'm finding that tough at the moment. Just obviously that kind of disruption. But again, every time I push through that barrier, sit down and start working on it, you can't get me off. You can't. The wife will come in and say, it's 10:30, stop working, you know, and she'll drag me off the computer. So again, it's just success on the back of failure.
Well, it's good you have someone, yeah, someone helping you with those boundaries is always good.
Absolutely, that's probably the hardest
Um,
thing. It's just finding those boundaries.
yeah. But you love it, which is good.
Yeah,
So at least it doesn't feel like work all the time, I
that's
hope.
right.
How do you personally try to positively impact the gaming community with your creations? I mean, do you go to conventions? Do you stay plugged into the social media community? What are ways that you do it?
One way that I've definitely had a lot of traction with is that indie game developers group, man. Uh, That is a fantastic community in there. That Facebook group is, you know, there's 120K people in there, so it's a big group. And that, but the quality of that group is I mean, it's where most of the success has come from. It's where this conversation right now has come from. It's where the meetings with the publishers has come from. It's where the support and the drive and the inspiration for this project has come from. So I'd like to hand it back to the founders of that group and the community themselves. That's just fantastic. But it's a big group, and standing out inside there has meant that you've really had to, and it's a high ethic group as well. It's got a really good moral inside there. So really paying it forward has been important to actually stand out inside that group, and being able to stand up and say to people, "Hey, look, I've only been making games for 6 months or something, and look at what I've managed to create." The amount of people that have come back and just said, "Wow, that's such an inspiration to me," has been an inspiration to me to know that I'm giving back to the community, improving, helping people get past that fear of not being able to do it. You know, that's been just awesome.
Yeah. Well, again, I echo what you're saying. I think that's one of the reasons that I have this
Yep.
show. Everybody can go out there and just talk about games, and a lot of people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have fears. We all have anxieties. We all have insecurities. And if we don't have, people who are like minded that can come around us and kind of encourage us along the way, we're definitely going to fail.
Right.
But you're a solo developer, but you're very much not alone, which is great.
That's right. Yeah,
So
gathering
yeah,
that community around me has been really important, and that's just for any potential game developers out there. Part of that is the marketing strategy. So the marketing strategy, from what I understand, fundamentally in game development, needs to start from the day one. You need to be forming a community and building up and wrapping that around your project, and that will support you. You'll support them, but you'll also support the project into development. So it's really important that people start on those communities early.
now, do you have plans for Dead Fury to be released on any particular platforms?
Initially, it was PC when it was, in effect, a smaller project. But with the publisher potentially getting in behind me here, that expands it right out across consoles, and that's really exciting. So the funding and the project scaling up, scoping up, really means that we can start to target consoles, which is awesome.
If you were to talk to someone, like, okay, let's take me for instance, because I'm honestly listening to you and I'm thinking, I want to get off this call and start making a game in Unity like you did. I mean, I've tried, but maybe I wasn't talking to the right
Yep.
people. Where's a good place for people like me to start? What would you say is maybe the top two or three things you'd say, go here and do this, go here and do that, and then you'll be well underway? Like, what are some advice you can give us?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So in my example, in my case, I downloaded Unity. That was the first step. You know, I was actually always really keen to go Unreal. I was always that was my trajectory. I
Yeah, I've heard good things about
Absolutely,
Unreal.
and it
So,
was beautiful lighting and photorealism and all that stuff is well up my alleyway. So that was my direction. I downloaded Unity in protest because I had to get it for that VR chat thing. My God, I have not even thought about going near Unreal since doing that, because the moment I downloaded Unity and started playing with it and realized how, like, I've used a lot of different tools, Ableton, After Effects, Photoshop, and all these different things in my life. No other tool has ever been so reliable, rugged, intuitive. It's just a beautiful tool to use. Um, so that was step number one. Step number two was building some, um, taking some core assets and building a project around those assets. So in my case, I took two key assets which were fundamental to this project, and that is Invector third-person controller. That is the controller from Invector that controls the player. That gave me a really solid, robust platform to build upon in terms of the third-person aspect. And I also took for the AI Emerald AI, and that's another asset. These are available for people to utilize. Those two core assets created a platform, and I did this strategically as a way of building a scalable project. Um, I built everything around that, so that became a very solid core that I could rely upon, and was very scalable for the future, and ultimately is producing a really good result in the end. And because of that, it sped up a lot of the development, and produced a high quality result very quickly, and helped build that community around, and yeah, expedited it. So that would be my thing. Just pick the core assets that you're going to build, and
mhm.
then build it around it.
In the few minutes we have remaining, maybe just talk a little bit about what is something that you've learned, maybe from the community, that has made you either become or want to become a better developer.
Yeah. So many people, and this comes back to this asset scripting stuff. So many people kind of get lost amongst the idea that game development needs to be script driven, that you have to build things from scratch. Those same people quite often, and they'll have a go at you if you are using assets, for example. They'll be like, "Oh, you're an asset flipper." Um, those same people use Unity or Unreal. They don't build their own game engine. So it's pretty hypocritical to say that you should build all your models and everything from scratch, but not build the engine itself. Um, So don't listen to those people. Find the people who are actually going to support you and rally around you and get those people close to you, because those are the ones who are going to help you to succeed. That would be probably one of the most important things that I've had to cope with. And beyond that, just remember that you can't do it all yourself. If you are a solo developer, you don't want to take on everything by yourself. You don't want to build a game engine because you're going to spend the next 5 years trying to develop that.
You don't really need
and
to.
you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's there available. And if you were a AAA studio, you wouldn't do the whole project yourself either. You would actually have a modeler over there who would provide you the models, and if you were the level designer, you would actually just put those models into your level. And effectively, that's the way I'm treating myself. I'm using the professionals that are around me to help empower me to get what I want done, which is the level design and the game itself and the marketing and everything else that goes around it.
Paul, thank you for being inspiring and encouraging to me and to the community and those who are watching. Appreciate your time and you being here. So before we go, can you just tell us maybe how people can network with you if they can? Social media, email, that kind of thing, links to the game. The links to Dead Fury that you gave me in the beginning will be in the description of the video. But if there's anything else you want to share, now would be the time.
Love to have people get in on that link, because that's basically the hub for this at the moment. That will change over the next year, but it's going to be driven and guided by that page at the moment. Honestly, if you're in the indie Facebook group, feel free to reach out to me across Facebook. I answer all the messages, I check everyone, and I always try to provide help and support to anyone who reaches out. And I get a lot of people reach me out. Over the last 6 months, I've had so many people reach out, hundreds that have reached out and asked for advice or just told me that I've been an inspiration to them and stuff. So I've made sure I've answered all those and just tried to help out where I can. So I extend that again beyond.
Thank you for letting me be one of the people you gave time to.
Thank you. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I just love your studio there. It looks choice.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you'll come back on the show. We'd love to talk to you again when you're closer to being finished and hear more about the game, or any other projects you're working on. So thank you. So for everybody else watching, consider liking and subscribing to this video. You can find more Wintermoon Games content on wintermoongames.com. We're on your social media platform of choice: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also stream on Twitch. And if you have a question about this interview or you'd like me to pass something along to Paul, please feel free to send me an email at cb@wintermoongames.com. Until then, we'll see you next time.